Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to science class of grade 6. So in the previous session, we were discussing on the second chapter, that is sources of food. I hope you have watched the video and understood the topics covered in it. Today we shall continue with the same unit and try to learn more. In the previous session, we have learned about importance of food, sources of food, that is plants and animals. Now we shall try to cover some more topics. You can refer page number 14 from your textbook. Food habits of animals. All living organisms, plants or animals, they need food, right? Plants can prepare their own food. Plants prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. So, plants are called producers. But what about animals? Do animals prepare their own food? No. All the animals, including human beings, depend directly or indirectly on plants for food. They eat either plants or other animals that eat plants. So, animals are called consumers. So, depending on their food habits, depending on what they eat, animals are classified as herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. And also, their mouth parts, teeth, and tongue are adapted to the kind of food they eat. Herbivores. Herb means plants and ores means eaters. So the animals which obtain their food only from plants are called herbivores. Can you give some examples for herbivorous animals? Cow, goat, horse, giraffe, deer are herbivores. These animals have flat and blunt molars which they use to chew and grind the grass. Next is carnivores. Carn means meat and ores means eaters. Animals that eat other animals are called carnivores. For example, lion, tiger, wolf, eagle, snake, frogs, etc. Carnivorous birds have strong pointed beaks used to tear flesh. And carnivorous animals have long, sharp canines to tear meat. Frogs and lizards have long, sticky tongue which they use to catch their prey. And snakes swallow their prey as a whole, thus they have small teeth. Next is omnivores. Animals that eat both plants and animals are called omnivores. For example, humans, crow, bear, etc. Humans have different types of teeth that allow us to eat both plants and animals. Next is scavengers. There are some carnivores and omnivores such as vulture, crow. They usually do not kill other animals for food. Instead, they eat the meat of animals that are already dead. Such animals are called scavengers. The animals that eat dead plants and animals are called scavengers. Thus, scavengers helps the environment and keep the surrounding clean. Next is food chain. We have learned that plants prepare their own food with the help of sunlight and air, and thus they are called producers. And herbivores get their nutrients by eating plants. So here nutrients are transferred from plants to herbivores. Similarly, carnivores or omnivores get their nutrients by eating herbivores. So here transfer of nutrients takes place from herbivores to carnivores or omnivores. This is called food chain. The relationship between organisms for transferring nutrients is called a food chain, and food chain always starts with plants, the producers. Thus, all the animals are either directly or indirectly dependent on plants for food. So this is a simple example of a food chain. Nutrients are transferred from producers, nothing but plants, to a herbivore, that is a goat, and from a herbivore to a carnivore, that is a lion. Now let us watch a video and try to understand in details.
Let us now look at what are the various food habits of animals. Plants make their own food by the process of photosynthesis. We all know that photosynthesis is the process through which plants make their own food with the help of carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight. All animals, including humans, depend on plants for food since they cannot make their own food. They either eat plants or other animals that eat plants. Animals are herbivores, carnivores, or omnivores depending on what they eat. Let us first understand what is meant by herbivores. Plant-eating animals like cows, horses, elephants are known as herbivores. Animals like squirrels and mice have sharp cutting teeth in the front. They use this to eat seeds and nuts. Animals like cows and buffaloes have flat and blunt molars which they use to chew and grind grass. This is called mastication. If you observe cows sitting around on the road or in a garden, you will see that they are sitting in one place and chewing. This process is known as mastication. Next we have carnivores. Animals that eat other animals are known as carnivores. For example, lions, wolves, eagles. As against herbivores, which eat only plants, carnivores eat only other animals. Carnivorous birds have strong, pointed beaks used to tear flesh. Carnivorous animals have long, sharp canines, as you can see in this picture of this lioness, which helps them to tear meat. Frogs have a long sticky tongue which they use to catch their prey. Snakes, on the other hand, swallow their prey as a whole and thus have small teeth. Third category we have is omnivores. Animals that eat both plants and animals are known as omnivores. Humans are omnivores as they eat both plants and animals. Some carnivores and omnivores do not kill other animals for food. Instead, they consume the meat of animals that are already dead. For example, vultures, crows, jackals, etc. Let us move on to understand what is meant by food chain. The feeding relationship between animals is called a food chain. A food chain shows the interdependence of organisms on each other. Interdependence of organisms means how a plant is dependent on an animal, how an animal is dependent on a human being, and how a human being is in turn dependent on plants. All food chains start with green plants. Let us understand what is a primary food chain. First, we have green plants which are known as producers. Next, we have primary consumers, for example, a goat. Next, we have secondary consumers, which are human beings. This shows the interdependence between plants, animals, and human beings. So children, in this video, we learned that food is important for nourishment, growth and development of the body. Foods are obtained from both plants and animals. Animals can be herbivores, carnivores or omnivores. We also learned that humans are omnivores. The feeding relationship between animals is known as food chain.
Let us recall what we have studied in today's session. Points to remember. Animals that eat only plants are called herbivores. Animals that eat other animals are called carnivores. Animals that eat both plants and animals are called omnivores. Animals that eat dead plants and animals are called scavengers. The relationship between organisms for transferring nutrients is called a food chain. Food chain always starts with plants. So that's it for today. Hope you have understood and enjoyed this session. If you have any questions, then please write it in the comment section. Thanks for watching. See you in the next session. Have a nice day.